Behind the insanity of today's dating world, there's one traditional institution that remains highly desirable yet increasingly unobtainable.
It's hard to make a date offline when no one wants to talk to strangers.
Celebrity divorces. Ultimate divorce. Divorced.
Is marriage overrated?
The rates of a successful marriage, if you can even find your supposed soulmate, are less than 50%. It is literally more likely that you will end up lonely and unhappy than being happily taken. Yet at the other end of that statistic lies the anomaly. The couple that gets together, finds love, and ends up happily married for the rest of their lives. What is it that they know that we don't? Are there secrets to finding, building, and keeping genuine love? In this video, I'll be interviewing married couples who have been together for 20, 30, and even 60 years to ask them about their secrets to building true love. How long have you been married for?
18 years.
44 years.
He was 20, I was 19.
26 years.
57 ans de bonheur.
De bonheur et de joie.
On a une belle vie.
Is this your first?
Second.
Second? And yourself second?
Well, officially second. I wasn't married the first time, as we found out. The priest forgot to register the paperwork.
No way.
Nah, so we weren't married.
How did you guys meet?
At the golf club.
We'd have social functions at the golf club, and we'd both be single, and everybody sort of paired up with their partner, and it just sort of grew from there.
Well, my first marriage was a real catastrophe. It lasted about a year and a half. We didn't have the same values, and he was also 10 years older than me. Wasn't the case with the second guy, so I was much more clear-minded about what I was getting into. And this one is very solid, over 20 years.
My dad was a veterinarian. His dad had some animals on their farm, and he met my dad first, met me through a friend of mine, and we kind of haven't been apart ever since.
We met at a Boy Scout camp. He was the director and I was in charge of the kids. I'd kept his number. He handed me his phone number, and I'm not one to hold on to things. It was really interesting that I would do that.
We met at a pub, and we just kept running into each other. Then we just got together.
What's interesting is that the majority of these couples didn't meet online. They actually met through doing things that they enjoyed doing. Obviously, times were different. It's not like they had access to the online tools, but doesn't that just seem so simple? Finding someone that you love through doing something that you also love? A lot of people today, especially young people, are burdened by the fact that there are so many options out there. It just seems like every time you open up your phone, there's a new option that appears that seems even more perfect than what you already have. So what can we do about this? How can we start appreciating what we have instead of constantly looking for the next best thing? Over the years, how have you guys managed to continue to appreciate each other?
Oh, we tolerate each other quite fine. Yeah.
Although we're very much alike, I think you have to appreciate each other's differences. I can't expect him to be my knight in shining armor. He's a wonderful human being, but he's flawed like I am.
You're not understanding how to appreciate someone, right? For not being perfect. How are you able to do that?
It's zeroing in on what's good and letting those petty things, you gotta let them go.
What do you guys think of the dating world today?
Oh, too much distance, no connection.
I find today people are getting together for the wrong reasons. You know, we measure up people in terms of what they own, what they do for a living, how can they provide, how can they, make my life easier. Why don't you plan your own life and your own self-fulfillment and be a whole person and not wait to complete yourself by meeting another person? And I'm saying this out of experience. When you fall in love, you don't think things through very clearly, and there's a lot of infatuation involved, and there might be a physical attraction, but that's not what keeps people together.
We used to go to dances. You could go to just about any little town and just join in and be, welcome and comfortable just to dance with strangers. I don't know how people meet online.
Online is really the big one.
It's strange.
You can't make contact with people online, unless you actually physically talk to them. And I mean, we go to restaurants sometimes and you see two couples together and they're both on their phone. And I joked to Anne, I said, they're texting each other instead of talking, because the art of conversations disappeared.
Quand tu rencontres quelqu'un, c'est bien beau, tu vas au restaurant, tu vas danser, on aime ça, mais au fond, tu connais pas la personne.
If each of us, no matter the age, was willing to go just one step further beyond our comfort zone, what do you think would happen? If instead of being afraid to approach that attractive person on the street, you decided one day that you were gonna go up to them and start a conversation, what do you think would happen? How would your life look if you kept doing things like that? It seems like the impacts of these tiny actions would be massive, yet they will not lead you to love unless you first know what love really is.
For me, love was always a sense of finding someone who brings out the best in you, having a sense of commitment to the other person for better or for worse.
Being caring of one another, accepting each other for what faults they may have.
We're honest, we tell each other everything, and without that I don't think love exists, because that leads to caring for somebody.
Except when you go and buy a new watch.
Well,
didn't tell me about
yeah,
that
but I'm
one.
buying you one as well. So.
Love is feeling fulfilled. Love is feeling calm, being seen.
It's that look in the person's eyes, funny comments, it's a touch on their shoulder, being with somebody through thick and thin. It's everything.
I see marriages last a very short period of time because there's this notion that the wedding is the marriage and the wedding is a party. After the party is when you have to put the work in.
You have to talk your worries and your fears. This is the person you trust the most in the world, and you have to be able to build that, and it can't just be one way. Because if I'm getting from you and I'm not listening to you, at some point that's not going to work.
I was someone that, always looked for approval on the outside, be it from my parents, my teachers, and especially from my boyfriends and then my first husband. And after my divorce, I lived alone for 8 years in a little apartment, but they were the best growth years of my life.
What's the point of marriage then?
The point. Oh.
Yeah, I think when you're younger, you meet somebody and you think will all work out great. And then over time, you tend to find that there are certain differences that just don't gel. Whereas when Anne and I got together, I define our relationship. She's my best mate.
I now realise that what I have now is a normal relationship compared to what I had for 29 years. When I decided to get in another relationship, I knew what I had to look for. And with this guy, it's easy.
Because you want to grow old with somebody and spend more time with them, and you want to wake up to that person every day and be with them like there's nobody else you want to be with.
I had someone say to me when my beloved cat, she had died and I got a kitten, and she said, "Why would you do that again? You're only going to get your heart broken. At some point, she will die too." And I said, "But think about all the love in between, because we all have an expiration date. Everything does. And I don't let that stop me, because I want to enjoy life and I want to enjoy it with others."
I was raised with loving parents who are about to celebrate their 30th wedding anniversary. Their story is an example of true love and taking the right steps to find the right partner. But at the same time, seeing their marriage over the last 24 years has made me understand that love is not perfect. People are not perfect, and in fact, in order to love for a long time requires you to make a lot of sacrifices. Sacrifices from, at least what I see, aren't sacrifices that we are willing to make today. That's probably why the divorce rate is so high and a lot of people are left alone, still looking for love. So that being said, are there secrets to love? And if so, what are they? How do you deal with difficult times and adversity as a couple?
Thinking of the other person is huge, but also making time for myself too. So thinking and communication. Be honest, be open, be vulnerable, but be there for that other person too.
Over the course of the years, not everything is smooth sailing, right? Like when you're in those moments when it's not smooth sailing, how do you deal with those downs?
We both have had difficult times. Often it has been from out towards us. And so that's pretty clear to us that we face that together. We don't sit down at night and make sure it's all resolved, but we know it does no good to carry it. As you get older, you realize life's short and life can be good if you're letting some things go.
Il y a l'amour, le grand amour au départ, c'est vrai. Après, il y a toujours l'amour, mais bien sûr, ça s'amoindrit parce qu'avec l'âge, les testostérones baissent aussi. Non, mais disons que sexuellement parlant, ça va. Dans l'ensemble, ça va. Et ça aussi, c'est important.
On va raconter notre vie, là.
Non, mais pourquoi pas.
Ouais, bon. Non, ça marche bien, ça marche bien.
I think you just look back to the really good times and you remember those times. And you remember the connection that you have, right? The look in the person's eyes or whatever, the memories that you shared together. And it just kind of gets you through that.
How would you recommend someone who's young in today's dating world to find love, like true love?
It's supposed to come natural.
Not on the internet, not swiping right. In your circles, at your health club, at your yoga studio, what you are focused on, what you're interested in is where other like-minded people are.
I think that if I had a connection with somebody, I wouldn't go online to keep looking. I would just keep seeing if this connection would work. Maybe that's the difference too. There wasn't all of those different options, right?
Yeah.
So I know you can go on all these apps and you can keep swiping. If I met somebody with a connection, I would keep nurturing that as opposed to looking for somebody else.
Pas être rancunier. Il faut essayer d'oublier. Ça y est.
Ça a été comme ça dès le début?
Depuis le début, oui. We're together like that, you know.
You're always looking for that piece of the jigsaw puzzle to complete you.
Yeah.
When you should be complete to begin with. So no rushing into marriage, you know, and a lot of kids do because it's important to be in a couplehood situation, but there's no need to rush.
My son has community parties on a very regular basis. That's how he's meeting people.
Seems so simple.
It is.
To find love in a world that is becoming increasingly complex, turn to the basics. Find things that you love to do and do them. Hang out with people that you like to hang out with and cherish them. Travel to places that you've always wanted to travel to and enjoy them. Fall in love with who you are and never stop. And throughout all of this, keep your eyes peeled, start conversations, and don't be afraid of rejection. If you do all of these, you won't find love. Love will find you. One of the biggest lessons that I've learned after interviewing hundreds of people is the value of educating yourself. Finding ways to learn is such an essential part of growing as an individual. And if you're not going to be interviewing strangers like me, then using Skillshare is my favorite option as a platform that you can gain a lot of benefits from. They have over 35,000 courses on various topics like photography, video editing, cooking, and even productivity. And actually, I've been such an avid user and fan of Skillshare for such a long time that I have already created a course for the productivity-based app called Notion on Skillshare. When I was starting out with making YouTube videos, I had gone from being a finance banker to a creator, and I didn't know how to film or edit, so I actually used a series of courses on Skillshare to teach myself, like the 3 that you see right here. We don't need to buy into the idea that work is a one-size-fit-all option. There are a lot of ways that you can learn new skills and start new passions, and to do it for such a small price is the best way to get started. That's why Skillshare offers a free 1-month trial to the first 1,000 people who click on the link that I have here and in my description. The free trial is how I got started with Skillshare, and I loved it so much that I've been using it for the last 3 years. So in my opinion, it is one of the best ways that you can get started on learning the things that you need to learn to live a better life. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, I need you to do 2 things. Number 1, check out this video. You will love it. And number 2, subscribe to this channel and to our second channel where we release full interviews with all of the different interviewees you've seen in this video. I'm Will, and as always, it's a mindset.